Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet, where we talk about everything that is yarn and crochet related. Today I'm going to be doing a quick video that I had a few people ask me if I would do. So at the making of the video, it is August 9th of 2023. Now I am making a project here. It's a cable poncho. I am not finished, but I will have a tutorial when it's done. But I'm going to show you what we're talking about, what this video is going to be about. As you can see, this is made with cable stitches. Now, if you ever crocheted cables, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you're missing out, because cables are so easy once you get the hang of them, and they are so pretty. Cable stitches are some of my most favorite stitches. So, if you look at a cable in crochet, when they have the cross, when they cross over, it always leaves a gap on both sides of it. That's just the nature of a crocheted cable. No matter what cable you're doing, most generally, if you're doing, these classic cables, it's going to have a gap on both sides. And it's very prominent, especially when you wear it. You can see the gaps. Now, the gaps don't bother me, but sometimes it's nice to eliminate those. And people have wondered, how can we do that? How can you eliminate those cross cable gaps here? I'm going to show you how you can do it right now. So I'm going to move this piece. I'm going to show you on a smaller piece how you can get rid of those easily. Get rid of those gaps. So I got a little swatch here of a cable. Maybe you can see. Now you can see those gaps really good, right? See, I can put my fingers in them. You can see them so good. On the sides, you see where the cables cross. It's always at the cross of the cable. See, there's no gaps here because there's no cross. But no matter what cable you're doing, whenever it crosses, there's always gaps on the sides. I'm going to show you how to eliminate those right now. So I'm getting ready to come up to where I would be crossing my cables. And once I crossed them, there would be this gap. Well, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that gap. So I'm going to work up whatever pattern you're working on. You work up to it until you get to the stitch before your cable. All right, so never mind how many I'm doing. I'm just working up a sample. It really depends on what pattern you're doing. So I'm at the stitch right here. Normally I would put a double crochet in this stitch, and then I would do my cable cross. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together, and that will close it up a bit. So I'm going to use this stitch and one of my cables here. All right, but I'm going to go through the top of it. So what we're going to do is just yarn over and go into the stitch before the cable and draw up a loop and yarn over and go through the first 2. And then I'm going to yarn over and go into the top of the first stitch of the cable, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3. So I double crocheted 2 together. So that did not interrupt my stitch count. I wanted to have 5 stitches on each side of my cable, and I still do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because this took 2 stitches and made it into 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my cable as I would normally. So I would skip this stitch and this stitch, this type of cable. All cables are different. And I would do a front post double in that one, and a front post double in the next. And then I would cross back over. I'm going to do a front post double crochet. This is the stitch where we went into right here of the cable. I'm just going to go around the post of it, and it's going to hide that stitch. You won't even be able to tell that we went into that stitch. But it's going to close that gap on that side. So I'm just finishing out my cable. Remember, it just depends on what cable you're doing. So there's the cross cable. And now you can see there's no gap on that side now. And I did not interrupt any stitches at all. Now I'm going to close the gap on the opposite side, because there will be a gap here if I don't do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is the stitch back here this front post, this post stitch here. Normally we wouldn't go into that. Normally I would just go right next to the next double crochet like this, and that would leave a gap. See, that's the gap that we want to eliminate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double crochet, 2 together again, but I'm going to go into this one right behind. Yarn over, go into it. You're not even going to be able to see it because it's going to be hidden by the cables. Draw up a loop and go through the first 2. Then I'm going to yarn over and go into the first stitch after the cable. Draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and then yarn over and go through all 3. So that took a double crochet 2 together, and it eliminated the gaps of that cross cable. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish out by putting a double crochet in my remaining stitches. Remember, again, this is just a sample. I'm just showing how to eliminate those gaps on whatever cable you're doing, the cross part of it. See that? No gaps now. Now, if I would not have done those double crochet 2 togethers, it would have looked like this at the cross. But now there is no gap there. It's very clean now. Let's see what happens when we do it on the back side. There's not going to be no gap, so I'm going to work my stitches up to the cable. So I should have 5 double crochets up to my cable, because this is what my stitch sample calls for. Oh, gosh. Sorry, keeping it real. Got a hair in my work. Gotta keep it real. All right. And here is the double crochet 2 together that we did on our previous row. I'm just going to double crochet in it like normal. And then I will do my cable like I would normally do. This is not the cross part of the cable, so you would do it however the pattern says. I'm just going to get to the other side, and I'm going to show you one more time how to eliminate that gap on the cross cable. I'm just finishing out this back side. It won't have any gaps when you're working the back because there is no crossover. All right. So I'm going to go back to the front again, and let's see what we got. Looking good. Now we got to do our cross cable again, just like we did here. So I'm going to show you how to do it. See how there are no gaps here? And there's gaps down here. I'm going to show you how to do it again so you don't have gaps. It's going to eliminate this gappage. Gappage. That's what I call it. It's gappage. Okay. So go ahead and work whatever your pattern calls for until you get to the stitch before your cable. Just like we did before. The cross part of your cable. Okay, I'm there. So again, we're going to do a double crochet 2 together. We're going to do it into this double crochet that's right before my cable, and then into the top of this first stitch of my cable. So I'm going to yarn over and go into that, draw up a loop and yarn over and go to the first 2, yarn over and go into the very first stitch, top of the first stitch of my cable, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through the remaining 3. So that took 2 stitches, made it into 1. You didn't lose your stitch count. I still have 5 stitches, which is what my pattern calls for, and you're not even going to be able to see that this cable, or this double crochet 2 together, this part of it, because it's going to be hidden behind the cable. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my cable, my cross cable part. And then here's my crossover. I gotta back it up. I'm going around. We went into the first stitch of it, remember? With our double crochet 2 together. But I'm going around the post of it for my cable. And that's what's going to hide. That's what's going to close that gap and hide the stitch that we used to close the gap. It's like it never even happened, right? There we go. It's like it never even happened. Now we got to do the same on the other side. So the stitch right after your cable here, what we're going to do is the one behind it, the last stitch of your cable, we're going to do a double crochet 2 together again with the last stitch of your cable in the first stitch after your cable. So we're going to yarn over, and if you, it's kind of in the back, you go into the top of it, drop a loop and yarn over and go through the first 2, then yarn over and go into the first stitch after your cable, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, then all 3. There is your double crochet 2 together, and then you can go ahead and finish out your pattern, and it keeps your stitch count. Like I said, mine had 5 double crochets on each side, and it still keeps it at 5 because we did a double crochet together. We made 2 stitches 1, and now there is no gap there on your cable. Amazing. So you see now, here we took the gap out of this cross cable and this cross cable, and we come down here and there's the gaps of these cross cables. See them on both sides? So let me take my camera off here, and maybe you can, sorry about that, maybe you can see the difference there on the white. So down here, these were cross cables that I did not remove the gap from. You can see the white at the cross gapping out, and up here is the 2 that we eliminated the gap. That looks nice and clean. So I just wanted to show you a way that you could do it to eliminate the gap of a cable stitch. I had a lot of people asking, that's how you can do it. Well, that's one way you can do it. I hope that helps, and I hope for those of you that do cables a lot, I hope that you were able to follow along with that okay, and hope that you understand it. If you don't, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to make a better video. But see the crossover, no gaps, crossover, no gaps. Down here, I did a crossover, but I did not do my double crochet 2 togethers, so there are the gaps. That works out well, doesn't it? Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you on my next video, okay? Bye guys.